Hello and welcome to New Game Plus. I'm Tim. I'm joined by Kirsty. How are you?
I'm actually feeling a bit tired again, Timmy.
Tired again.
It's because Gamescom is on as we go to film, so all of the emails, all of the announcements,
All of the late night streams.
It's all and like the weird, because like Europe is a really weird time. Like it's not even like 2:00 in the morning. You know, it's not quite as balanced.
Yeah.
So it's like
bit
and I don't know. Time has flown since E3, so I only somewhat caught up on the E3 sleep, and now I'm suddenly back in the Gamescom.
Yes.
It's pretty hard.
Lots of new exciting trailers coming out of Gamescom and some cool news. Like new BioWare games exclusive for Xbox. And,
I know.
Yeah, the Tomb Raider thing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of internet crying has been happening over that Tomb Raider.
People really want to play Tomb Raider on their PlayStations or PCs, so they are complaining quite a bit.
I can understand, how the PS4 has no game thing, so at least it might have had a game at one point. But it is the argument of how long will this exclusive actually go for?
Yeah.
So is this going to be a Super Mario always on Nintendo exclusive?
Or is it going to be like a Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare exclusive?
Exactly. So I guess we can't, time will tell, but I think it looks really interesting. I think there's been some cool stuff to come out of Gamescom. I'm totally jealous of everybody who's there. It looks like they're having a really good time.
Yes, they always do in Germany. But we've got an episode as well. So
we do.
We have Planeswalker Plus this episode for all you Magic fiends out there.
Which is going to be very, very exciting. We also have some coverage for the Melbourne International Film Festival that we went along to, which was heaps and heaps of fun.
We've also got a lot of the Lord of the Rings this episode. So Old Game Plus is looking at some older Lord of the Rings games, and I think Return of the King, my favourite.
Oh, yes, you love that game, don't you?
We've got an interview from Shadows of Mordor as well.
We do. So let's go into our first bit of content.
Now, Ninja Gaiden is a much-loved franchise amongst the more hardcore kids in the world. People talk about how hard Dark Souls is, but it's got nothing on Ninja Gaiden 1. Let's be honest.
All right,
on Ninja Master, it's got nothing on it.
Yes.
So then they decide, Itagaki's now no longer working there, but they want to make more, Ninja Gaiden games. And Alphanita approaches them, says, let's make one that's kind of zombie-themed. It's about an anti-hero who wants to kill Hayabusa, and his travels through Moscow. And they decided that's the best thing that they could possibly greenlight, and we have Ninja Gaiden Yaiba.
And it's actually really, really funny.
I'm really surprised at how fun it is. It maintains the difficulty of a Ninja Gaiden game, which you've come to expect. So there's a lot of pattern recognition. Counters are brutal. There's no big spark. There's no, here, press X to counter now. It's, learn to play it right, or don't bother at all. And the variety, I think, is probably one of the other things that happens. Once you start to get the special zombies that you pull the parts off.
Yeah, and the art style is a little bit different. It's kind of like, that cel-shaded style. It actually feels really nice inside the game because it flows really well with like the speed of the game.
And it plays up that comic book angle. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's a lot of good fun. And it is derpy and it is stupid. And a lot of people say how it was, I'd say, immature. I don't think, I'm sure it is when it's all said and done. But, I don't know. I don't think anything on the box ever said that was going to be anything but. And it's not like it's, poo and wee-wee jokes whenever they get a chance. There's some actually really funny lines in there as well.
And just kicking zombies is always in the balls.
There is one move in the game that allows the zombies can become separated. So you can walk up to the zombie halves and you can kick them square in the balls. And it is genuinely the funniest thing I've seen in gaming in 10 years here. Just trust me. It's amazing. But the game itself, difficult, colourful, fun, worth playing.
Pretty much worth playing. Music's also another thing we should mention, and it's really, really nice.
Yeah, no, it is. So definitely worth a look. Ninja Gaiden Yaiba, bit of a different take.
Now, we are gearing up to go to Japan, which is, of course, the land of Yaiba, which is very exciting. So, now, Timmy, it is, of course, a Japanese game. So, there's our first hurdle. So, it's the giveaway, not the stop sign. So, we've got to work through this. So, it is a kind of a hack and slash kind of game.
Yes.
So, do you like hacking and slashing, Timmy?
To an extent.
Yes.
Basically, well, is this game on a scale of like Call of Duty to Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance? Where does it fit in?
Well, it's probably not quite as, hardcore involved as maybe Metal Gear Rising or some of the more really like bishy-bashy kind of games. But it is I don't know. Well, there's always that undercurrent in Japanese games, isn't there? Plus, it's got the really, really beautiful stylings. Really like that cel-shaded animation. Cel-shaded animation is all the rage. Thank you, Legend of Zelda.
But in Ninja Gaiden games, you're playing it for the difficulty, aren't you? It's just,
yes.
Does it carry on? It's like,
I don't know. I think it depends how difficult you find these games. Obviously, somebody who is more kind of accustomed to these games, or you play these games more, like it isn't going to be that hard. I think it's something you always work towards. It's a Japanese game, so you have to do your grind. If you're not very used to these kind of games, you're going to have to play it a lot to get into it. But I think the visuals of it and that real
bit more accessible.
I think that makes it more accessible, but it also makes you want to work harder towards it because you actually want to be surrounded by that kind of visual nature. You get really involved. I don't know. You look past some of maybe the more difficult parts because you're so enthralled in the graphics.
I don't know. If I'm playing a hack and slash, it's probably more like DMC or something. I don't know. Ninja Gaiden's always a bit hard to like put your foot into. It's like,
but you want to be ninja, man, a ninja.
Hello and welcome to Planeswalker Plus. This week we are drafting Conspiracy. Tell us about Conspiracy. What is it? What does it do?
So it's a draft format. It's Wizards' new multiplayer format. Every year for the last couple of years, Wizards have been bringing out a multiplayer product. This one's designed to be played rather than a regular draft, which we'll draft as 8, and then we'll play one-on-one matches. In this one, we're going to break into 2 pods of 4 and play all in. It's a bit of a brawl. So multiplayer, a lot of the cards care about how many opponents you have rather than the assumption that you're only going to be playing one person.
Well, that's helpful. And it has things that happen as you draft as well.
That's right. So there's a lot of draft matters cards, which is a design space where they've taken cards that care about when in the draft they're drafted, or by drafting them you get to do something else during that process, rather than that insular idea of I'm drafting, here's my one card. So like this, for example, Cogwork Librarian says, draft me face up, and later you can undraft me and take 2 cards instead.
Ooh,
I'm looking forward to getting a couple of those.
So I kind of drafted a heavy red-black draft. I was really, really lucky. I only got 1 or 2 off-coloured cards.
Alright, so I've kind of made a white-black artifact deck with lots of conspiracy cards I've never seen before, but I'm very eager to try and learn how they operate.
Well, the main card that I really wanted out of this draft was the really awesome Hydra, which didn't show up. So I just got a whole bunch of other really huge creatures and a bunch of ramp, and went green because I decided to do something different from my usual strategy of going green. So now let's get playing. That was the game. If you're currently looking at a very unflattering picture of me on the screen right now, that's because I beat the editor and cameraman so hard that he will cry forever and just lose. Because the memory of this will be so painful that he will have nightmares about it. Because the semi-final doesn't count. James, the level 4 judge, unsurprisingly also did a really good job. And Shane, much to no one's surprise, lost everything every time. It was a lot of fun. We loved the mechanics of Conspiracy. It was such a cool format to draft, and I can't wait to play it again. And I can't wait to see you next time. See you next month.
So J.R.R. Tolkien's Fellowship of the Ring turned 60 the other day. So for Old Game Plus this week, we would look at a retrospective of the games based on his works. And I'm joined here by Gerard. Now the first game was done by Melbourne House here, and it was 1982's The Hobbit, which was a text-based adventure.
Yes, and it was it was a bit different to text-based adventures at the time. The graphics were pretty good, but the parser was the thing that really set it apart, and it won a few awards for that. As well as saying, go north, or move north, move north, move north, look tree, get maps, so on. It actually had something a little bit extra, which was
it was a bit of a physics kind of thing, where you could put something in a barrel, and if you carried that barrel with you, that the thing you put in the barrel would go with you. It kind of remembered what you did in that instance. You could also get drunk. Like if you went to the pub, you could actually drink, and that would affect your gameplay later on.
Nice. And the Melbourne House released 2 more games based on Lord of the Rings, and there was a few more games, but not many leading up to the movie. So up until Peter Jackson's movie, we had a side-scroller where Gandalf rode Shadowfax, and in fact that was on the big 20. But then really more started to happen when Peter Jackson worked on the movies.
So Sierra got the license to publish games based on J.R.R. Tolkien's works just before the movie, or while it was being made, but they only had the rights to the books, so they could only make games based on the books, and anything referenced in the movies could not be used in their games.
Because EA had the rights to the movie, and so EA could make games based on the movie using movie footage and things that may be modified or changed in the movie, but nothing from the books.
Yeah, so the music from the movies, the music from the movies and EA's games could not be used in Sierra's, and Sierra couldn't use footage that was based on the games, but EA could use the footage, and
it was a mess proving that lawyers and games don't mix. And then a little while later after that, EA released a few decent games, including Battle for Middle-earth, which is a real-time strategy,
and the movie games, which were the Twin Towers and Journey of the King, and also an RPG called The Third Age. We released it around there as well.
Yeah, and a little while later, EA got the rights to both book and movie, released a very good Battle for Middle-earth 2.
And then the Lego games came.
And that's when the rights finally went to Warner Brothers, and the Lego game, as it was the Lego game that Lego game fans were really wanting, and that was Lord of the Rings, Lego, charming, funny, used voice acting instead of talking. Yeah, it was great.
It was good.
And coming up soon, we have an interview after this. Shadow of Mordor.
So Shadow of Mordor is open world. It's a bit different from the sounds of it because it's based between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. It's a totally new story and written by
the writer and the lead designer of Red Dead Redemption, which really shows a lot of promise.
So stay tuned for this.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here with Rob, lead designer of Shadows of Mordor. For the people out there, what is it? What can they do in this game?
So Shadow of Mordor, high-level, third-person, open-world action game, sandbox, and it's set entirely in Mordor between the events of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, so it's a new story there, but it's also a open-world experience where you got a lot of different activities and possibilities. The main thing, though, that we've been talking about at E3 here is the Nemesis system. That's our kind of the key innovation we're trying to bring to the genre, where every enemy in the world has this potential to kind of build a relationship and a history with you and level up and grow and to become a boss or a sub-boss, and have that kind of dynamic sandbox going on around you where you start to change how you feel about enemies in games when you're used to generic grunts.
Yeah, certainly with the hands-on tracking down all the chieftains and stuff. Can you explain a bit about how you can control like the orcs and then go after the chieftains?
Sure. So Orc society is kind of this dynamic thing that's always going on in the game, whether you get involved or not. They're fighting and going on missions and backstabbing and battling their way through the society. But if you go sneaking around and getting involved, you can set up some pretty cool things. And besides just slaughtering them and trying to make things easier, taking out a war chief's bodyguards before going after them or that kind of thing, you can also dominate them and bend them to your will and turn them into your soldiers so they start to fight for you, which you can be very overt about it, but you can also be kind of sneaky. Set up a bunch of bodyguards to a war chief, make them yours, and then draw him out. So when he thinks he's got the upper hand, then you just flip him and they all attack him. It's just chaos.
Now, the story in this game, there's a few shadowy characters. Can you explain about the woman and the, No?
Well, so the story, there's a couple of big mysteries here, but the main thing you're kind of pursuing is the Wraith, who's possessed you as the main character, Talion. You're a dead ranger who's possessed by this ancient wraith, and so a main mystery is trying to figure out who he is. And the character that you saw in the demo today is very deep into the game, and Queen Marwen of the Sea of Nirnen. She's also kind of a a little bit creepy, a little bit mysterious, helping you figure out who the Wraith is and helping unlock his power. But power in Middle-earth is a dangerous thing.
Now, as you go through killing all these bodyguards, you get all the the upgrades and stuff. Can you go a bit into that, how it affects the gameplay?
Yeah, so there's a few important upgrade systems. There's kind of your big skill tree where you can unlock the Ranger skills. They're more physical-based things, and the Wraith skills that kind of upgrade that powerful Wraith inside you. And those are all kind of big, meaty new things to add to your arsenal. And then there's also the weapons. In Tolkien lore, the weapons are kind of characters unto themselves. You got Glamdring, Gandalf's sword, Sting, Frodo, and Bilbo's sword. These things they're characters. They have names, they have stories written on the blades, and so that's kind of what we're doing with the weapons. Is you've got your weapons, you're building their legend. As you kill the captains and war chiefs, they are dropping these runes that you slot onto your weapons. You write on basically the fate of your enemies gets written on your blade to grow them, and that's where you get a lot of upgrades and power too.
Fantastic. When can we expect Shadows of Mordor?
Shadow of Mordor is coming out on October 7th on PS4, Xbox One, PS3, Xbox 360, and PC.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Elpis is an unpredictable place. You never know what to expect. You never know if you're gonna run into murderers.
Or if you'll start because of my action skill.
You are the worst.
But somehow, today will be Elpis's last hope.
A bunch of fanatic soldiers will try to destroy the world. Kill thousands of innocent people.
Open fire! We got a moon to save.
We all joined Handsome Jack for different reasons. For desperation.
For money.
For fun.
Because my programming forbade me from doing otherwise.
We're not the good guys. We're not even close to being the good guys. But today, we're going to save the world. Because on Elpis...
We're going to dance!
Yeah, we're not doing that.
So Borderlands looks really cool. I don't know, I've played 1 and 2, and maybe it's going to hit that point where you've just had too much Borderlands, but... I don't know.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. This seemed really cool. I've always loved the visuals of Borderlands, and this really does carry it on. To see them kind of like cowboys in spacing, and I don't know. It looks really exciting.
I think I'm a bit more keen for this one as opposed to the other ones because it is made by 2K Australia, and there is going to be lots of Australian voice actors in there, and pretty much the whole moon of Borderlands is going to be Australia. So
that makes sense.
That.
I mean, we're so used to being so geographically isolated from everybody else that it makes one just send us to the moon essentially. But that'll be fun too, because what's the best part about hearing Australian voices on video games is you can hear the accent, and we don't really realise that Australians have accents until we hear ourselves around Yankees or the Poms, and it's just that's going to be funny. But I don't know. I have to say this trailer got me really hyped compared to I watched the Assassin's Creed Paris Horizons trailer, and I was like. And I'm not even that greatly into Borderlands, but this trailer just really did get me interested.
Hopefully they don't overdo the Claptrap thing. Claptrap has been pretty popular, but if they push the character and try and say one too many memes, and it's all going to come apart. But hopefully the game will be good. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Well, it's that time of the year again. The Melbourne International Film Festival is upon us, and we should probably check out
films from other nationalities, because there are wondrous films made from across the globe. But let's face it, we pretty much just watched all the weeb stuff.
We did, because we are of course going to Japan, so it was a little bit of let's kind of get prepared, let's practice our Japanese.
Definitely what it was. Yep.
We'll watch the Japanese films.
So what we thought we'd do is we'd watch one of our favourite directors, Takashi Miike, his new film, Undercover Mole Agent.
The mole song, Undercover Agent Reiji.
That's the one.
And it was essentially anime the movie.
It is based off a manga, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it is.
But even by the structure of the movie, it's so obviously manga. So Reiji is a cop
pretty bottom feeder cop. Look, it's very trope heavy, this movie. So he's the stereotypical bumbling cop, but of course in true Japanese fashion, it's not him going, oh boss, dropping the donuts. It's him standing up for women's kind of dignity, but then getting in trouble.
He punches a civil servant. He gets in trouble. Then they decide, we're going to fire you, but by fire you we mean put you undercover in the Yakuza.
Yes.
And there he meets all these different Yakuza people who are just real odd characters.
Yeah.
And it's him. The final scene itself is probably worth the price of investment on this one, just because of how everything comes together. You're just like.
And you do it is a movie that's kind of, I don't know, there's some points, it's really over the top, really, really over the top, but there's some really genuine heartfelt moments, real heartfelt moments.
And even the stuff that could be considered, borderline, risque, are done with such kind of he's gotten better.
Yes.
As he's gotten older, he's gotten far more subtle in his storytelling, and it's one of his better movies.
It was. Now, moving on, kind of related, I suppose, R100. And this was a movie that, when I read the summary for this movie, this is not the movie I thought I was going to get.
It just sounded random. Basically,
it did.
The 100-year-old genius director has decided to release his last movie, which is called R100.
But it's only suitable for people 100 years and over. So the joke was R18 is for 18 and over, R100 is, so you have to be 100 to understand.
Yeah.
And the movie's a bit self-aware, so it has got this idea of it's not you watching a whole movie. It's this whole breaking the fourth wall.
It brings you out every so often
to
see the people who are sitting in the audience for this and
saying,
yeah. But basically, the story itself is about a guy who signs up for a group of dominatrixes to randomly appear and brutalize him. Just randomly in his life. He's got a 1-year contract, can't be broken. Things happen. And then they just randomly, I guess, escalate to the very last scene, which is...
There's no words to really explain this without spoiling it, because to explain even, there's some really sad moments in this movie.
Yeah, and there's some real subtext as well.
Exactly. It's just a crazy ride.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, are they the pick of the show? Well, the Miike one was very, very good. R100...
don't take your girlfriend to it.
I think Matt Cardi learned that one the hard way. But I guess that's the wrap for the Japanese side of the myth.
I don't... That just sounds like the strangest, weirdest Japanese thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, but come on, Timmy, wouldn't you like to be chased around by dominatrixes throughout your daily life and thrown downstairs?
Don't know about that. That is the strangest thing I've ever heard.
It is very bizarre. It is very bizarre, but I love it. It's just so great, because there's stuff they did in that movie that you would never see in a Western movie.
Yeah, you would not. Definitely not.
No, you would not see something in a Western movie, but it was really fun. It's also kind of prepared me a bit for Japan. That was the one, as I said, it made me so nostalgic for Japan. Just kind of seeing all of these, not even necessarily familiar places, but the style of places. So seeing the trains, seeing the cityscape, the sushi bars and stuff like that. That I can't wait for that. So that was very exciting. But speaking of Japan, we have got a great event coming up this weekend. We have Chaos Melbourne running in its first year. Some anime, video games, a bit more of a fan hobby convention. We'll be there doing some video games for you, of course. Got some cool multiplayer stuff coming up for you.
If you're not in Melbourne, you might be in Sydney. Check out the Sydney Grand Prix for Magic the Gathering. Yes, that'll be very exciting. Competitive Magic happening down there.
Yes. So we'll have a couple of people there, which will be very exciting. Plus, on the same, this is a huge weekend, Timmy.
Yep.
On the same weekend, we also have Matt and Oz running their Earthbound stream. So Friday night and on Sunday night as well. So to prepare you for Chaos or GP Sid, and then to come down from Chaos or GP Sid, you've got a bit of Earthbound. You know, some really. It's a really weird game. Have you ever? Okay, speaking of Japanese games.
Yes, it's very strange.
So one of my friends has the baby-looking thing. I don't know how to put it. Remember that weird, as their timeline photo? That's really bizarre.
That's
anyway, next couple of weeks we've got some really cool special episodes coming up for you, so don't forget to check those out. But Timmy.
So visit our website, www.newgameplus.tv.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/NewGamePlusTV.
Follow our Twitters and Instagrams at NewGamePlusTV.
And watch our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/NewGamePlusTV.
Thank you, Kirsty.
Thank you, Timmy, and we'll see you guys next time.